I mean, I guess I don't know it quite from the same perspective maybe as others up here.
But you see their applications.
I see the applications, and I visited. I try to go to 4 to 5 a year, well, I mean, and I guess it depends on what. I mean, the problem is I don't necessarily know which ones are the best in terms of getting your, being seen by the right people, because I do find that there's and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, there seems to be kind of a hierarchy in the film festival world. There's the big festivals, the Sundances, the Tellurides, the Tribecas and Torontos, and those kind of festivals where I have friends who've made films, and they've been on the festival circuit, and then but when they're trying to sell the film, it's like that's your first level. You want to try to get into those festivals, and if you get in there, that could be your launching pad. But then beneath that, there are going to be, I don't know if there are really levels beyond that, but all sorts of festivals can be places where you can launch from if you know how to work it properly. I've known people who will they will take their film, they will get into festivals. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like the hottest, newest film festival, but they will take it there, and and I think I agree with you that if you can't go, you're really diminishing the impact of what you can do. But they will go, and if they can generate a sold out audience at the film festival, they will then, I should say, prior to this, they have made contact on their own with either sales agents or distributors, and they will, if they can generate a sold out audience, they will then communicate that back to these people who haven't yet said yes to their film, but whom they have this at least communication relationship with, and they will take it to the next festival, and they'll do the same thing. Hey, we got a sold out festival, we got a sold out screening at pick a festival. It doesn't have to be a specific festival. We got a sold out screening at this festival and this festival, and they've used that to generate this not even a perception. I mean, this sense that okay, people are liking this film, and that's led to distribution. I mean, the one festival that comes to mind that I've always liked is CineQuest. It's in San Jose. I wouldn't say that they're a hot up and coming. They've been around for a while.
I think they stepped up big this year. They got over 90,000 people out there this year. So I mean, those numbers, that's a damn fine number.
And they've been doing, and I know that, I mean, they used to, I guess I haven't really followed up on it, but they used to have a distribution element.
They still do.
Janus? Something.
Well, they were involved with Jam, and they have their own DVD line now, and I think they're doing their own VOD. But that's a great festival that's really watched the trends in terms of helping filmmakers monetize, getting audiences, treating film festivals, filmmakers incredibly well. And their numbers for attendance were up over 90,000 this year. So, I mean, Michael Raybell is a great guy, and he runs a great festival, and he treats everybody really well. And he's out there on the circuit. I mean, that's the other key to being a great program is all of these people who are here are out there on the circuit, and they're getting out there, and they're bringing the best films and filmmakers together and discovering the best talent. So, they're barometers for the best films, the first films that I'll look at for various reasons.
That's cool. Well, what's going on in
Well, I'm more, about I can tell you more about the European festivals.
Yes,
but,
absolutely.
I would say that it's Toronto and Sundance. These are the two important festivals, and nearly all important distributors and producers, they go to these two festivals. This is since Sex, Lies and Videotape was made this big splash all over the world. That's when America discovered its great potential in their own country. And it became so important. So nearly every festival, important festival in Europe, goes to Sundance and goes to Toronto. So if you can make it to one of those two festivals, you can approach all the European festivals. and they make their selections in these festivals. So in Europe, of course, it's fantastic if you get into Cannes. They have about not more than maybe 10, 12, or 14 US independents in these sidebars, which is a director's fortnight, Certains Égards, and Semaine de la Critique. And if you get there, you are really being watched by the world. It's a lot of prestige, but 14 films, it's very little. And then there's Berlin, there is Rotterdam, which is important. Locarno is very important. It's a very good sales platform, and they bring you in, and they pay for your hotel, and there are also all the distributors there, and the TV stations, and also then from the smaller festivals, not an A festivals, competition is Munich. It's known for its big independent platform with about 20 independents every year. But try to get also in the much smaller festivals, because there's always a chance to meet the right person. And as Lee said already, you have to be there personally, and also you have to work there. Even if there's not so much press interested in your film, you have to make them interested, and go around, and with your American refreshing spirit, you will like you all over in Europe. Well, really, it was really, the Germans were just fascinated when the Americans came over and they made a film for $10,000. They couldn't believe it, No film student would touch at that time a film with a budget less than $1 million, because we have this great funding, and there were these people with $10,000 budget films, and they sold it. So you are very welcome in all those festivals, and I think there's a great attention to the American indies in all the European festivals. It's always the longest lines of that you have to wait to get in and so on. It's obviously because everybody wants to see what's coming from this great cinema country. Yeah, and what did I mention? Venice is of course also important, but not that much. Also Cannes, Rotterdam, Locarno, Berlin, and Munich is what I would recommend.
Very good.
And there's another small German festival, which is the oldest one is Hof. It's where Jim Jarmusch had his second film, and the Wim Wenders and so on. So just try it, and when you are invited to a small unknown festival, just go there. They should invite you, and you will have a chance.
Yeah, as far as the hot film festivals, I think a lot of the ones David mentioned, I think David's pretty on there. And the one thing that I would add to his comment about being there is that not only go and not only sell yourself to the press, but you have an ally in the programmers. They've accepted you for a reason. So, and David's in Missouri, but I see him every so often. Like we there's a network of people that talk to each other, here in Cleveland, there's a great regional film festival, and people from other film festivals and from various parts of the film world are here, and they will, whatever I see or whatever anyone sees is going to come back with them to their network of friends. So
three of us sat down last night and talked about literally 150 movies in an hour.
Yeah,
it was like the most
all
intense, ridiculous, like film nerd conversation, and we were just like going through like, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this?
But it was all like stuff we had seen in the last year.
Yeah.
David's like, I showed this movie. You guys really have to see this. You really have to consider showing this. This stuff happens.
Yeah,
this is actually like
exactly.
6 years ago when we had Big Dreams Little Tokyo here, it's because I stopped Bill Gensler at AFI Fest and said, you have to see this movie. And then, and at that point, because I didn't really work on that movie, I kind of worked on it post after that. But at that point, I wasn't working on it at all. I just saw it and liked it and said, you have to see it. And then we came here, and now Dave's getting an award here, and we're showing all 3 films this weekend and all this stuff. So it's like that's how it started. And now I'm producing for him, but it's like,
Ryan, you attend quite a few festivals.
Well, a festival that I think is really, I'm going to sound the horn for a festival in my own country. I think Whistler is really going to break big. I think it's in a great location. It's at a great time of the year. It's it's after Toronto. They've got a first feature competition. It's it's in a ski resort. They bring all these guests in. They have media there. They have artist talks, panels. They bring buyers in. I mean, they get money from the government to fly people in from around the world, and they have these 3-day intensives. And the gentleman who programs it used to be the key Canadian programmer at the Toronto Film Festival, a guy named Stacey Donen. And so everybody, that festival is slowly gaining some really great international recognition. They had the North American premiere of Monty Hellman's new film, and Monty was there, and it was a big deal. And they did this great artist talk, and they world premiered a new Bruce McDonald film, and then they put him on a panel. They had Bruce McDonald and Monty Hellman kind of like have a discussion, which is kind of, two really cool maverick filmmakers talking about how to make maverick films and make great indie work. And so that's a festival I really like. I think Hot Docs, of course, I mean, certainly it's bigger now, is really important, especially if you live in Cleveland, because it's 5 hours away, and if you make documentaries, get on a bus, get on a plane, drive your car, and get your butt across the border there for it, because every buyer in documentary and TV is going to be there for 10 days. They have panels and discussions about, they have pitch sessions that, they have a closed set of pitch sessions, but then they have like the rendezvous sessions where you can win, like, you get round table 10-minute meetings with people, and then they give out like a $10,000 prize. It's a great, there's these great festivals, but if you're not there, we can't see you, we don't know. There's tons of people always tell you, oh, I made this film. And it's like, well, I wouldn't know because I've never met you, you've never contacted me, you're not out there. And you're invisible in this industry unless you're with your film, you're out there selling it. And even when you don't have a film, go to these markets and go to these festivals. You can buy a pass for them, but you need to be there. Great example, so I'm gonna plug a Cleveland filmmaker. We represent her, my friend Laura Paglin, made a great film called Facing Forward. Great new documentary. She went to Sundance with her short. HBO ended up buying it. It won at Full Frame. It won the audience prize for short in Sydney, Australia. Or that's her film, No Umbrella. So she's one who just continually stays out there, and she goes to IFP, and she goes to Hot Docs. And that's why Laura's succeeding. Julia Reichert and Steve Bognar are always out there. Whether they're on juries, whether it's on panels. You can become quickly invisible in a large pool of people unless you're there. And you're making work, and you're talking about work, and you're selling films.
And singing karaoke.
And singing karaoke, absolutely. I will plug Michael Lerman's Hold the Line by Toto as one of the key songs to hear on the circuit.
One of the highlights of the festival, huh?
He's a highlight.